In today's video, we're going to be installing our new Ohlin suspension on our R33 GT-R. If you didn't see our first and second video, in our first video we introduced the suspension, the brand, we also unboxed it, and then in the second video we set it up, we built it, we got everything set up, and in this video we're actually going to be installing it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to lift up the vehicle, and that's the only thing we're not going to film. And the reason why is because you need to follow the manufacturer's and your equipment's safety precautions, instructions, and just be safe. All right, the first step we're going to do is we're going to remove the strut tower. We have two bolts, 14 millimeter, right and left. We're going to do that first. And using a 10 millimeter socket, we're going to remove this 10 millimeter bolt. And that's off. All right, guys, so we have a 17 millimeter deep socket with a breaker bar, and we're going to remove this nut right here. All right, once we got it loose, I'm going to use a ratchet. All right, we got the nut off. And we have a washer that we have to get as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rag on top of the sway bar in link. And the reason why is if this shoots down, you know, I don't want it to hurt anything. All right, guys, so you see the assembly right here. We've got the nut off, and what we have to do is we have to slide it off, and you just kind of have to be a little bit creative. I have a rubber mallet, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try to pry it first like that. All right, so we have a piece of wood, and we're going to try to hit the assembly off, and here we go. And it's off. Remember what I said about the sway bar in link? Our rag kind of is protecting that, so I'm glad that that's there. All right, and now we just have to kind of work this through. And it's out. Here is the difference. I had the original GTR shocks, and I had some RSR springs on it, and as you can see, the dust boot's a little bit has seen better days, but big difference aesthetically. I'm excited to see how they feel. All right, we have to put this spacer in the back. It tells you in the instructions that it's 7 millimeters. We've measured it, it's around there, but this goes first. And now we're going to put our shock assembly. And here is the moment of truth. All right. I don't want to scratch these bad boys up, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to try to get it through the holes in the top first. All right, I kind of got him up there, and then I'm going to kind of slide this in here. With my right hand, I can actually move the whole hub assembly, and that's helping me just kind of navigate this on here. All right, and I think that's on there pretty good. I'm going to give it a few taps with the rubber mallet and see if we can get it back a little more. So what I did is I put the big washer that goes on there, I put it on there because the bolt is sticking out a little bit, but I'm going to use a socket, and I'm going to place it against the washer and use my rubber mallet and see if I can make this go back. And it's working. Woohoo! And now we're going to go ahead and put the nut on it, and we're just going to start it. We're not going to tighten it quite yet. And now we're going to put the bracket back on with our 10 millimeter bolt, we're gonna start it and we're gonna tighten it here at the end. Now, temporarily, I'm gonna put these on here, but we're not gonna tighten them down because we have to do the other side and we need to put the strut tower back on. But this is just so we don't lose them and so the shock stays there. All right, using our handy GTR owner's book, it actually has the specifications for the suspension, and the torque says 89 to 107 Newton meters, and 107 is roughly about 78 foot-pounds. I'm just gonna go to 80 just because that's what I'm gonna do, but it's 89 to 107 Newton meters, 16 to 18 Newton meters. All right, we got our torque wrench set. I've got the socket on there, and let's go ahead and tighten it down. And it's good. And we're gonna go ahead and tighten this one up. And we're good. Okay, we're moving to the rear coilovers, but what we need to do is we need to remove the rear seats in order for us to access the top mount bolts. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have two 8mm bolts, one in front of the passenger and one in front of the driver. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove that and it's gonna release the bottom cushion. All right, now the seat is hooked in and I'm gonna use a tool, and if you raise it up, you can see where it's hooked in and you just kind of pop up on it like that. I know I made it look easy, but I just use a tool to pry up, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side. All right, two hooks are off, and now we can slowly start navigating this out. It's hooked up on the top, so you kind of gotta angle out and then take it out. We have two 10mm bolts, one on each side, and we're gonna remove those to get the top cushion off. And I'm gonna grab the seat belt, and I'm just gonna kind of squish them behind it. Do the same over here. And this is a little funky up here because we kind of, you have to push up and then out because it's hooked inside it. Just be careful because you have your glass back here. I got one side off and the other's off as well. So the bolts to the shocks and such are right here, but you need to take this off to get to it. So I have a 10mm wrench, and we're just gonna take this off, and then there's a bolt all the way in the back that's gonna be a little tricky, and you're gonna have to use your fingers, but we're gonna get these off. A ratchet wrench really helps a lot. I don't know how else you'd be able to do it, but I've got a swivel ratcheting wrench, and it's making the job really easy. All right, I've got the two bolts off, and I remove this, and now I have access to the actual portion of it. This side looks a little bit more complicated because we have like a module here, but I do see two 10mm bolts, and we're just going to remove those and see if that gives us the space to maneuver around here. Sometimes when you loosen a bolt, you could use your fingers. That's not the case here. Pretty sure I can use my fingers now. All right, I got one, and it's not moving freely, so I'm going to try to get the second one. The second one is all the way back there like the first one. And all right, you have to have a ratcheting wrench to do this. You just can't do it any other way, so make sure you get a ratcheting wrench, people. All right, so we got it loose, and we've got a little connector zip tie in here. What I'm going to do is I'm push that off, and then I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this connector from here. And this unit should come out. Just be careful with it. All right, using a 12mm deep socket, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the bolts. All right, one. And the second one's off. All right, guys, so we have the bolt that we have to remove right here. I've got a 17mm deep socket, and I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it up. And then we'll use a ratchet afterwards. Oh yeah. All right, it's loose. All right, so we've got the bolt loose, and I'm gonna use a wrench to hold the back of it, and I use my ratchet to take it off. All right, here's the nut, and this should come out, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a rubber mallet to hit it out. All right. And that's out. Well, first off, we really don't want to pound on the body of the shock. It's just not good for the shock. It's just not good for safety. And it's kind of stuck underneath here. So the best thing I could do or think of is just see if we could hit it with something. And look at that, guys. It's almost off. That was dramatic. All right, and we're gonna take this bad boy out. All right, and here's the difference, and it's time to install the new one. Woohoo! All right, I'm gonna start off by putting this in first. Just being careful with the car. And then I'm gonna snake this back up, making sure I put that extension through the hole. All right, so I got the hose lined up. You could use a friend, or you could use a friendly jack. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly maneuver this up to just line up with the hole, like that, so I could put the bolt through it. Boom. And that way, everything's lined up. I'm gonna leave it like that, and then I'm gonna go put the bolt on top. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the nuts, and I'm gonna start them on. And same with the other side. And then I'm gonna tighten them down. All right, we're gonna torque this down to 80 foot-pounds. I'm holding it with a wrench, and I've got my torque wrench, and we're gonna do it. All right, so we're at the last steps. Now, if you remember this piece that goes in the back by the speakers and also that little module, well, there's gonna be something that you're gonna have to do. The instructions say that you could put a hole in the back, kind of cardboardy, felty speaker area so the adjusters stick out, which of course you want to be able to adjust them. And also, whenever you put the module back, you have to cant it. Again, it's all instructions, and we did that. And it'll make sense when you're putting them up and whenever you have the adjuster extensions and knobs and stuff like that. But just make sure that you read that and that you do that. So whenever you're tightening the top bolts, I want to let you guys know that they're 16 to 18 Newton meters. And once you do that and you make sure everything's good to go ahead and put your wheels back on, torque them down, make sure everything's good to go, and go for a drive. And guess what we did? We just went for a drive, and OMG, it was mind-blowing. We know our town very well, and we actually went like on a mission to go hit certain bumps that we've hit before with the GTR. And certain bumps we've hit, like they've literally like kind of shocked us, because it's like, this time around we hit them and the car was just like, what was that? It was beautiful. Now there is something different, and I'm not sure if the manufacturer kind of did this for the R34 or the R33, because it's for both cars. The back sits nicely, but the front's a little tall. So when you look at it, the front's a little bit lifted. So I've already started to play with the adjustments. I turned it twice, which is 4 millimeters based on the instructions, but I think I need to go again to make a total of 8 millimeters of adjustment in the front to drop it down a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, we're gonna make a driving impression video of Ohlins later on, but I am already super pumped up because after all this work and the videos and everything, when we went for a drive, it was beautiful. The sunset was gorgeous, or the sun was gorgeous, and we just had a wonderful drive. So these coilovers are epic. Woohoo! All right, guys, thank you for watching. You stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.